Hear all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show.
And we're back and we're live. January 22nd, 2019. Almapura Awakenings is next. Let's get started. Nikki, welcome back.
Hi, thanks again. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back.
Good to connect with you. Let's get you to reintroduce yourself and your show, first of all, as you're brand new, really, on the network.
Okay, well, my name is Nicole Shikoteka, and people call me Nikki for my nickname, so I go by that. I'm a spiritualist, and I am a medium. I spoke with people in heaven ever since I was a little girl, but never really understood how it worked. They just talked to me. I just did what they said. And as I grew up, I started to really question, like, how is this even possible? How is it that they can talk to me? How do I talk to them? Can I ask them questions? So I had all of these curiosities in me, like about how this process even is possible, because we're talking to a part of ourself and a part of the universe that doesn't have a physical representation. We are that physical representation. So how does one communicate with themselves? And it confused me. So I went on this kind of search to figure that out, and I had a spiritual awakening in 1998 that really answered all of the questions that I've ever had about communication with your own soul, communication with people in heaven, how to interact with them, how to interpret their messages, using the part of the universe, the part of the one that we are in a physical presence to translate the rest of connection, the rest of creation. And so all of those questions were answered, and I really struggled for a long time about how to figure all that stuff out and how to explain it to people so people wouldn't think I was crazy. And so that's more kind of along the way that it went for me, is I needed to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining these different things that were happening to me. And so after I discovered all of this during that process of the awakening, or my enlightenment 4 minutes, I thought, wow, everybody should know this. Like, everybody should know that we're not separate. Everybody should know that we're all one thing, and it pretty much blew my mind. And what blew my mind more is that someplace inside myself, I knew it the whole time. Like, those many years that I was struggling with it, I knew it the whole time. I just didn't have words to explain it. That experience gave me the words to explain it, and my goal is to help people find that part of themselves that's connected to everything, that's part of everything, through the different services and things that I offer. So Almapura Awakenings is just concepts of things that I learned during those 4 minutes that I would like to share with people so they don't have to wait until they're dying to recognize that their loved ones are right there by their side, because they're not only there at the moment that we die. You know, people say, oh, well, mom's coming to pick up dad, or grandma's going to come and pick up, you know, this person that's struggling and getting ready to pass on to the other dimension of heaven. And we think that that's when it happens. And in that moment, we realize, oh, my gosh, our eyes were just woke up to something else. We see something else. And we all think we have to wait till we die to see it, or we have to wait until we're at that moment of transitioning from the body to the soul to talk to your mom or your dad, and that's not true. So my goal through this radio series is to help people connect with the part of themselves that allows them to talk to their soul, their own soul, in an interactive communication, to talk to their friends and relatives in heaven in an interactive communication, meaning I can ask you a question and you're going to give me an answer. And all of creation, being the plants and the trees and anything that carries the source of life with it. So that's kind of how I would introduce what I do. The services I offer is everything from mediumship and connecting families with their loved ones, mentoring people on how to achieve that whole process for themselves, and helping people through spiritual counseling and Akashic records and past lives and tender soul sessions, which are how do we connect with our children and how do we learn to love our children for the way that they are, not the way that we think that they should be. So I do a lot of different things, and what I'm here to do today is just share whatever I know that will help you and anybody listening to get to a part of themselves that allows them that interactive communication with spirit.
Beautiful. So how do people learn to connect in that way?
So when we're thinking about how do we connect in that way, the first thing we have to recognize or try to come to an understanding of is, first, who am I? And we have a definition of ourselves. And that definition of ourselves says, I work at this place, I have this many children, I studied this in college, I'm married to this person. And so we have a description of ourselves, and we self-identify with that egoic or human representation of what we are. But there's this other part of us that talks to our own self-creation. It's that inner voice. So when we ask, who am I? We have to figure out if we want to invoke or awaken or communicate with our soul, what are we actually saying? We're actually saying that we want our humanity, our thoughts, our opinions, the things that the world taught us to be just quiet for a minute so we can hear something else that's happening inside of us. Everybody has had an experience like that. You're laying on the couch watching TV, you're focused on the TV show, a thought pops in your head, it says, go cut the grass, do the laundry, write that term paper, and we ignore it and we keep watching TV. Till tomorrow, when we regret not cutting the grass because it's raining, not washing the laundry because we need that pair of pants, not writing that term paper because we wanted to go out for a party. So we ignore that inside voice. So when we say, who am I, the I that we are talking about is that I, that inner self. And in order to connect with that, we have to, in a way, function as regular human beings, dominant in our energy of humanity, and go about our life and make our plan and create what we want to create. But during that creation process, which is our human life, we are creating. We are co-creators. What do we co-create with? We co-create with the inside part of us. So if we can learn to follow our human path, follow our dreams and desires, unless we're interrupted, I can sit down and watch TV, and I can sit there all night, unless I'm interrupted and something else prompts me to do something else. The first step in connecting with any of your friends and family in heaven, the first step in connecting with any other person at a spiritual or soulful level would indicate that you would first have to be connected to yourself. And the way that you do that is by trying to give that inner voice a dominance over the human voice. So I go about my day, and I'm in the middle of my day, and I'm thinking, and I know what my plan is, and I know I have to go to the grocery store later, and I know I have laundry, and I know I have a lot of work, and I'm in the middle of that when all of a sudden I have a friend that pops into my head, like just a picture of my friend that, lives in another state. Haven't seen her in a while, haven't talked to her, haven't thought about her, but she pops into my head in the middle of my day out of nowhere. That is a communication, not a coincidence. And that communication occurred outside of everything you were doing humanly. So it's random, and it feels random. The possibility of what that could mean is two different things. Number one, her soul is connecting with your soul. So she thought of you for some reason. Maybe she was looking at some pictures and she thought of you. And so that unintentional thought that she had of you was connected to her soul and her body. That inner voice heard that thought from her about you. And so her soul's like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to go find her. So her soul comes and talks to your soul. You're doing your shopping or you're at work, you're busy. But her soul tells your soul. And then how does that connection happen? Well, your soul tells you. And how does she tell you? She tells you by sending you an impression. How did you get the impression? Was it a picture in your brain? Was it a memory of a time you were with her? Normally, when our soul wants to communicate with us, our soul needs a mechanism with which to communicate. So how does our soul do that? Through our chakra system. So hopefully our listeners today are familiar with chakras and they know what chakras are, but just in a light sense, chakras are points of energy that we have in the body. In my journey, I have recognized that those points of energy in the body is our mechanism for communicating heaven to earth and earth to heaven. So if my soul wants to talk to me, she has to have a way to do it. And if my grandma wants to talk to me, she has to have a way to do it. And if I want to hear them, I have to have a way to hear them. So we think of this chakra system kind of like a switchboard of communication. If my soul wants to talk to me, she can pop a random thought in my head, and that sounds like an interrupted thought in the middle of my regular thinking. If she wants to communicate another information to me, she can pop it as a memory in my brain or a picture or a vision. Sometimes we start talking, and we're just talking and talking, and as we're talking, we're like hearing ourselves talk, and we're really impressed with what we're saying. So that means our soul possibly sent some information or some vibration to our throat chakra, and now we have this beautiful communication, and we're able to express things just allowing our soul to use our throat chakra. Maybe you're going to go to a meeting, and you have to present something at your job, and you get really nervous in your stomach right before you go into the meeting. Are you having anxiety when that happens? Or is your soul sending vibration to your solar plexus, which is about self-identification? And you know you're going into a meeting, so they think you know what you're talking about. Maybe they're going to give you a peer review of work that you did. So they're going to critic you. Now, going into that meeting, you told these people that you know what you're doing. But right before you walk in, you get this feeling in your stomach. If that's communication, isn't your soul actually just telling you that your self-identification, the way that you define yourself to be, the job that you said you knew how to do? Maybe your soul is just telling you, hey, this meeting is going to challenge that a little bit. Did you dot all your I's? Did you cross all your T's? Human you, are you prepared? Can you stand in your own self-definition? But we get so freaked out about the way that our body responds to spirit and to energy that we start to think that we're a bundle of nerves. We start to think we are so anxious and we have all of this anxiety. But if your soul wants to talk to you, she has to have a way. So when we think about how do we reach out and begin to communicate with our soul, first of all, understand your soul never has stopped talking to you. Your soul probably talked to you 3 or 4 times today. The question becomes, did you listen? Did you pay attention? We have a really big misconception that we think that we try so hard to fall in love. We try so hard to have a best friend. We try so hard to form relationships. That's like our goal. Like we want that. We want somebody to love us, to hold us, to tell us it's going to be okay. So we seek relationships outside of ourselves. And that's where we go wrong. That's where we start to lose our way a little bit with our own soul, because seeking so much for a relationship outside of ourselves at times has the potential to void the relationship that you share with yourself. And the first relationship that always has to be addressed is the relationship with your own soul. So you need to talk to it. You need to have information from it. You need to be able to reach out to it. You need to know that there are 2 parts of you that are functioning in this existence. And if you just need a little bit of proof of that, you've walked into a party before where there's 5 new people, and in the first 3 seconds that you walk in the door, that you look at those 5 people, you already decided who you like and who you don't. You already have a vibe. You have a feeling. But you haven't talked to them. You haven't interacted humanly. You haven't even said hello and shook their hand. But right away, you know that this person and you don't jive? How do you know? What part of you said hello? And what part of you said hello to what part of them? Because you haven't spoken to them yet. So there's a part of us that processes, interprets, discerns, decides, guides, loves, supports, nurtures, assists. That's what we're looking for in other people. Love me, nurture me, guide me, support me, validate me. That's what we're seeking. And we totally ignore the part of us that wants to guide us, love us, nurture us, accept us, validate us. And that's our soul. So if we can find that and we start to listen to it, it means that we're going to start to listen to those inner promptings. So even if we're tired and we're sitting on the couch and we have an inner prompt that says, go do the laundry, that's where your choice is. That's where your conversation begins, because your human self, your human thought process is triggered. One thing triggers the next thing, triggers the next thing. So if you have one thought and it triggers the next thought and the next thought and the next thought, that's because that's how your human brain works. Your soul brain doesn't require logic, doesn't require a conversation, because your soul only knows truth. And truth is simple. And truth usually doesn't have to have like 1,000 reasons. Think about a time that you've been in an argument with somebody. And you're arguing and you're arguing and you're arguing, and then one of you says something that the other one can't deny. And what does that person do? They shut up, because there is no response to truth other than truth. So your soul isn't going to have a whole conversation with you in your brain. Your subconscious is going to do that. That's your human self. So at the moment that you are in thought, in a human trigger, in a human process of thinking, and a thought randomly jumps into your head, identify that thought, because that is separate from your triggered process of thought. If you get up and you do what it tells you to do within 3 days, probably within a day, but I like to give 3 days. Within 3 days, you're going to find out that the best decision you made was to listen to that prompt and not the argument that followed after the prompt. So if you're watching TV and a prompt comes and it says, do your laundry, instead of arguing with it and saying, no, I'm tired, I worked all day, how about just get up and do it? Because what you've done then is give the very part of you that wants to be in a relationship with you, you just gave that part of you a voice. And maybe this time that voice said, do your laundry. But if you gave it a voice tomorrow, that voice is going to be a little more confident that, like, you want to be friends with it. So then it's going to be like, hey, do your laundry. Or, hey, buy that pretty ring. The goal is to pay attention to the self and to recognize where your free will comes in. Your free will comes in at the moment that you begin a conversation with yourself. So what we're doing is saying, slow down your brain. Observe the thoughts coming into your brain with that part of you that's inside. Catch it. And if you miss it and you realize it later, like, oh crap, I knew that was going to happen. If you catch it later, don't leave it there. Figure out when you told yourself that thing. Go back. What else were you thinking about? How did it get into your head? How did it come to your head? Because you want to identify your free will on this earth. And your free will on this earth says, I am human and I am spirit. Which side of myself do I choose to listen to today? I think I'll listen to my human self all the way up until my soul or my spirit self has an opinion. And if that part of me has an opinion, it is certainly going to interrupt me. And if I'm listening for that, then I know exactly what to do. This is the first relationship. So we're not seeking to experience something brand new Enlightenment is not brand new. You are already enlightened. You already are having conversations with your soul. You are already in communication with your soul. But do you want to be friends with your soul? If I had a friend that I kept trying to help over and over and over, and that friend would come to me crying like we do to our soul when we're all broken and we sit down on the couch and we're like, oh my God, my life. When we run to our best friend to get help, what if we continually ignore that? What if you did that for your friend, helped and helped and helped, and every single time you tried, basically they shut you down? Would you keep trying to help? You wouldn't. You'd get quiet. You'd listen to their problem, but you'd probably say, I don't know, you can try this. You don't think then that your friend trusts you. So then that friendship, it starts to separate. And little by little, distance grows. And this is what we do to ourselves. So you're having a conversation with a part of you that is your best friend, that always has your back. How long would you like to keep ignoring your best friend standing next to you, standing within you as part of you? So all that we're doing is we're not saying, hey, become awake, become enlightened. Hey, be like all the mystics and the gurus and the spiritualists and the mediums, because none of us are different. God isn't the kind of God that says I can talk to my mom and you can't talk to your dad in heaven. That's ridiculous. All it means is, what do I humanly understand that you don't? Because that's where I was. I didn't understand that for my whole entire life, my soul was talking to me. I just thought they were thoughts in my brain. I didn't realize I was having an internal argument with my very best friend in the whole entire universe. But boy, when I realized that I had ignored her so much that I actually ended up feeling ignored by other people. Like, I ignored myself so much that it made me a half of a person. Like, I have a spirit and I have a human self. Oh my gosh. And I completely, for 28 years, totally ignored my spirit self. Didn't really listen to her too much. When I realized I had been kind of a bitch to my own self, and I ended up kind of on empty, I started to realize that I didn't have all this feeling I needed to have, so I started to put this responsibility on all those relationships that I was talking about outside of myself. So I demanded in my relationships that they validate me, that they love me, that they nurture me, and don't they see how nice I'm being to them? And why wouldn't they do that for me if I'm doing it for them? But in those 4 minutes of that experience in 1998, I realized that people were only doing to me what I am doing to myself. And how could I expect them to treat me differently if I treated myself the same way? So I stopped ignoring myself. And I stopped ignoring myself just by listening to those prompts. So that's the best explanation I can say to help people recognize that part of themselves and create an interactive relationship. So there's a few steps you got to take. First, think about it. For the rest, for your whole entire life maybe, hopefully not some of us that are participating today, but a lot of us. For our whole life, our dominant self, the boss, that's our human self. That's our thoughts and our opinions, our conditionings, the way we are, the way we've always been, the way our parents raised us. That's been our dominant self for our whole life. So if that's our dominant self, that means one is dominant and one part of us is not dominant. So that would be our soul. That means we are the boss of our soul because our soul has to do every single thing we tell it to do. Our soul says, turn left down that street. And our humanity is like, no, I'm taking the shortcut. Oh, then you hit a traffic jam and you wish you would have took that street over there. So your soul turns around and is like, told ya. So our goal is to pay attention to that and to listen to that and to recognize that we have made our soul obedient to us. And what if we just flip the table a little bit? Our soul lets us be dominant unless it knows something we don't in our human consciousness. Our soul is what's connected to everything. It's connected to the whole entire source of life. And everybody, every living thing has that source of life. Think of it like you have a washing machine and you have a refrigerator. Both of them express differently. They're both totally different machines. But there's something that brings life to those machines. And that life is electricity. It's an electrical current. So you have electrical stuff in your house. And you have a source of electric. You plug in that machine to one source of electricity. So the electricity powers the refrigerator, powers the washing machine. It's the same source of electricity, but it's powering these two different things completely differently. That's the source of life. What I carry as my source of life, you are carrying the exact same current of life. Exactly. You and me are the same. But maybe you're like a washing machine, and maybe I'm like a refrigerator. But what powers us both up is that current of life, of electricity. That's how we are. That's how we're connected. So how about we go ahead and stay dominant until our soul rushes in to give us a different opinion. And then we are faced with our free will at that point. And how about we, for a change, become obedient to our soul since we've asked it to be obedient to us? What you'll find is that you start to feel psychic because you kind of know where to be, what to do. And if you're listening to your soul, you're guided to the right places at the right time for the right opportunities with the right people. So you start to feel prepared for this thing that you're creating here on earth called your human life. And you'll start to see, oh, we're actually not being obedient one to the other. We're just kind of friends. And if my friend has an opinion and thinks I should try something, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll see if her opinion or his opinion is good. Keeping in mind that once you have that relationship where you can recognize the inner voice coming through to your humanity, you taking action on it. Practice that, because once you have a grasp of that, once you recognize, oh, my soul is talking to me, and my soul is kind of instructing me to do some stuff, get good at that. Once you're good at that, how about ask your soul a question? Okay, now I know when you're talking to me. I follow when you're talking to me. I can identify my soul within my structure of humanity perfectly. Once you can identify that, your next step of connecting with your soul, and the next level of connection is, okay, soul, now I hear you talking to me, but I have a question about my job. So I really need to know, like, what to do at my job. Like, I need an answer. I need some guidance. So how about start asking questions? Start asking easy questions first. Hey, hello, my soul. Will you tell me what the weather's going to be like in 3 days? And then you wait. And you wait because, if you sit there and you ask, you're totally waiting for an answer. And then you're going to second guess the answer you get because you're going to think it's your brain and not your spirit. So ask the question and walk away. And take over in your human life as the dominant self that you are. Because you asked the question, which means your soul is going to answer you. And she's got 7 chakras, or he has 7 chakras to pick from. So maybe you're in the middle of, reading your child a story at night, and you're like, reading the book to your little kid, and all of a sudden, like this memory pops into your head from like 7th grade when there was a blizzard outside and it was super, super cold, and you were walking to school, and you have no idea why that popped up into your head. But you did ask the question, tell me what the weather's going to be like in 3 days. And on day number 2, you're reading your kid a story, and all of a sudden this random thought in your third eye pops in, and it's a reference to a cold temperature in the 7th grade. So I think your spirit is most likely telling you it's going to be cold in the next couple days. You want to identify when your soul talks to you so that when you ask it a question, you know how it sounds when it answers you, when it talks to you. Otherwise, you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in the decision-making process without any real guidance, because any real guidance that came, you talked yourself out of it. So communication is the key. And once you have that, and isn't that the key in every relationship? Like, how good are your relationships if y'all don't talk about stuff? Like, how? You can't. If you live with somebody, if you're a parent, if you're a friend, if you're a coworker, everything is based on communication. It's no different between you and your soul, and it's no different between your soul and another person's soul. That's why when your friend popped into your head that lives in a different state and she calls you later that night, you're like, oh my God, that's so weird. I totally thought of you this morning. What a coincidence. Not a coincidence. Her soul told your soul, and your soul popped her into your third eye as a picture of her. So you were told this morning that there was a connection here. And as you recognize those things, the connection, you start to be able to discern the connection. Is my friend suffering, and is that why she's thinking of me? What other chakras does your spirit touch? Maybe she flew into your brain and a picture of her in your head, and then you noticed right away you felt sad in your heart. Maybe your friend is having a hard time, and your soul wanted you to be aware that she needs you to reach out to her because that message went from your third eye as a memory of her into your heart as a feeling for her. We have to observe thoughts and where they go, thoughts and what we do with them. So it's taking us into a place where we say, I'm going to participate in something that looks third party. So we have a human self, we have a spirit self, we know that. We also have another self, that's our like observer self or our Holy Spirit self. So the God, Jesus friendship would be our human self and the spirit self. God and Jesus are buddies. And we know that like when they get along really good and they both want the same thing, the Holy Spirit self comes. So we're 3 things. We're 3 things. So one of the ways to recognize and to observe the relationship is to say, okay, I do it like this. You've made bad decisions. We've all made bad decisions in our life. And at the time we're making the decision, we think it's a good decision. And we're right there in it. We're participating in that experience. And so we make the decision as a participant because we're in it. So we know what our thoughts are. We know what we're thinking. We know what we're feeling. We know why we're making the decision. And whatever happens in that decision, 5 years later, when we're talking about it and we tell our friend about it, we're no longer participating Now we're observing it. So we tell our friend, oh, yeah, I was feeling totally like this, and, I was young and everything. Even though, like, everything inside of me said, don't go, I went anyway. I don't know what I was thinking back then. Well, the thing is that I wasn't thinking back then. So now we are no longer a participant because we're not there doing it. So we're not participating in telling the story. We're observing it. And now we can see what Johnny did, what Melissa did, what I did. Now we can see it clearly, what everybody was feeling, what everybody was thinking, what everybody was doing. We start to discern it because we're not participating, we're watching. When you recognize this friendship between your soul and your body, you will recognize that you have the ability to transcend that relationship and to observe it. Because the minute you recognize free will, the minute you recognize, oh, I'm watching TV, I got a thought that popped into my head, and then you stop and you recognize it, what did you just do? You just observed it. Because if you didn't observe it, you probably would have said, I'm tired, I'll just do my laundry tomorrow, because you're participating. So observe. And you do that by following that prompt. And following that prompt, now there's a difference in your brain. So you identify a choice here, get up and do the laundry or don't. This is where you identify free will. Now you have a choice to make. And in doing that, you just recognize two parts of yourself. Well, if you're participating as the full human, you wouldn't recognize the other self. And if you were only participating as the spirit self, you wouldn't recognize the human discrepancy of not getting up and doing your laundry. So what part of yourself is able to look at both parts? Obviously, there's a part of you looking at it, looking at what you were just doing, watching TV, when all of a sudden a thought popped in your head. You're observing that. You're not participating in that. That's what I'm asking you to do. Observe the friendship that you share with yourself. Recognize the moments you ignore yourself. Ask yourself, why did you do that? Because if you want to talk to your grandma and you want me to teach you how to do it during this series of communications that we're having on the radio, like, I want you to call in, I want you to ask me questions, but I also want to make sure that we recognize that anything I can tell you here today is nothing different that you couldn't find yourself. Because you and I have the same electrical current of life running through us. So if I know something, you know something too. So I'm not trying to teach you how to talk to your mom in heaven. I'm trying to help you become friends with yourself so that yourself, your soul, can talk to your mom or talk to your husband or talk to your wife or talk to your child or talk to your pet that just crossed the rainbow bridge to see if they made it okay, if they're doing okay. Your soul will come and tell you, oh yeah, they're doing great. Here's what they're doing. And if you know that your soul and how your soul talks to you, well, you've just opened up the doorway to everything. So you're not trying to talk to others because those others don't have a physical body. You can't talk to energy the way you talk to a body, a physical body. You can't. They don't have a physical body. Light beings, angels, they don't have physical, human, constrained by time, mortal bodies. How do you expect them to talk to you? They're not talking to you. They're talking to the part of you that is like them. And if you're best friends with that part of you, you could talk to the angels, you could talk to your mom, you could talk to your kid, you could talk to your best friend sitting next to you, who still has a human body. The point is you'll be communicating in energy. You will be one with energy. You will realize that you and I are the same thing. And if we're all accessing that one current of electricity, that one current of life. You and I should find the same exact answer. Because truth is only one thing. There is no debate in truth. So if God is truth, if we are part of that universal oneness of all energy, then the only thing that limits us from that energy is when we step outside of that energy. And we take human dominance, which kind of squashes that energy, squashes that spirit. Let's not do that. It'll blow your mind. I'm not kidding you. It'll blow your mind. So I would like to, I guess that's my answer. So I don't know, Nicole, if you want to see if people want to call in and ask any questions. I think we covered a lot to, I don't know. What do you think?
That was an awesome answer, by the way. I love the power and clarity of focus in that. It helped a lot of people. Do you want to take, most of the people on the board are just listening, but we have a couple people that were open to a reading. Do you want to take a call?
Sure.
All right, let's go to regular color opulence of many years, line 1. Opulence, are you there?
I am here. Peaceful greetings to both of you.
Welcome.
Hello, greetings to you. Thank you for calling in. How can I help?
Oh, well, I'm not sure exactly what you are willing to tune into for me, but I'm going to ask you to, what you want to do.
All right, well, let me do what I normally do when I first connect with a person.
Okay.
My intention in a connection with someone is to connect with their soul, to invite their soul to talk to me. And then I just kind of leave it up to your soul to tell me whatever she wants to tell me. And then once I have a connection to her, you can ask anything. So
Works
I'm
for
going to
me.
take a minute. I'm going to take a moment. And what is your name again? Opulence?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And can you just tell me, no, because we're on live, so I won't ask you that. Can you tell me what state you live in?
State of grace.
You know what? I'll take that, actually. So hold on one moment and let me make a connection to your soul. And you'll hear quiet just for a moment. And are you in a quiet space, like you're not multitasking, right?
No, I'm not. I'm getting ready to sit down in my beautiful sacred room. So, nope, I'm ready for you.
Okay, so hold on 1 second then while I do that. So you're comfortable with the idea of chakras, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
So one of the things that I recognize is, I'm just going to tell you the flow of energy that I kind of see running through you. So I do have that your soul initiates connection with me in the solar plexus. So when I look at the solar plexus, keeping in mind that the colors of the chakras is a representation of our humanity from my perspective. So there was a point in your life where your solar plexus was not a clear, bright yellow. It was more, I think, clouded. It was a little bit like you've been through some shit. Like, I'm not going to lie. You have this recognition of a time in your life where there was a struggle for your own self-identification. Maybe you had to prove to people who you are. Maybe for people to even listen to any opinion, you had to prove that you were worthy. But there's a level of unworthiness that initiated there. Now, it sits there, but it has no activity to it. None. Zero. Empty. Dead. It has nothing, which means that whatever that was, you came through it. And you have transcended it, but you have not forgotten it. And the reason that you haven't forgotten it is because it's part of your mission on Earth. So it's kind of like if somebody says, walk a mile in my shoes and you'll know how I feel. You walked a mile in a lot of people's shoes. So it's not too many people that will come to you that you haven't had an experience that would match them in emotion in order to help them or nurture them. So you keep it, you keep that information within you as a place to draw information from, yet it does not affect you. You have put that to bed inside yourself. As a result of that, you have this most beautiful, like, white and yellow energy pushing out right between from your solar plexus all the way into where the heart chakra is, and then it comes out. When it comes out, you're grabbing other people's information. So people probably drop a lot of their problems in your lap, and you receive all of the emotion and connection to them, and then you process it within your reference to your own experiences. So you're very empathetic. And you're empathetic almost as if your life had trained you to be the healer that you are. And that's just an everyday interaction. That just works for you. So when people reference maybe an emotion or a situation that they have been through, you have the capacity, you have the ability to draw from something within not only your humanity, but how you yourself transcended it. And then that's the gift you give to people. So you have the ability to not let your past experiences invade your life and the gift that you give to people. I also see that your soul does transcend right up above the crown chakra, and there is a lot of white light in there. That is a relationship with God. And it is a relationship with God. So, and it's God. Like, people have a lot of names for God, you know, Allah, and they have Adonai, and they have, you know, spirit and creator and energy, but nope, this is God. And the reference is God. And so that is something that when your soul transcends from the behind location of your earthly experiences, when you bring that to God, that's where you get that healing information from. So it's like you came here and you're like, God, I'm going to heal people. And he's like, okay, your life is going to be really, really difficult. You're totally going to learn it. And then you will be the gift. Your experiences actually will end up being the gift. Don't let them break you. And you didn't let them break you. So that's what your soul says to me. If I am communicating with your soul properly, then that should feel 100% accurate to you. You should say, yep, that's me, to a T.
You know, I'm not gonna say you're wrong. It's right on. Very, 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 very much feels correct. I have been through a lot of shit. And I am that I am, and in love, and more every moment with me and my divinity, and it's becoming in every moment easier for me to take my past, my journey, and be able to speak on it as I counter others who share the misery is coming forward, their misery and their pain with me. I'm still learning, and I am grateful that I heeded the call as you were talking about listening, and as I was listening to you speaking about doing the laundry when I saw Nicole's request for callers. Thank you very much. And what is your name?
My name is Nikki. And I also want to express to you that you do have a lady standing with you at all times. And she feels like she participated. You know, there's a couple different things. First of all, this lady feels like she's your mom. But she's not taking the role that I would assume her to take, meaning that her soul would be a little bit up above your soul to kind of indicate that this is a mom or a grandmom, but she's very rooted, which means whatever. Can I ask if your mom passed? Is your mom in heaven, correct?
Both mother, grandmothers, yeah, they're passed.
Can I ask if you and your mom suffered together?
That's an interesting question. Together, I'm not sure how to answer that.
She should be in a nurture role. First, can I ask you if the month of December, August, or January is significant for your family in any way, like birthdays, anniversaries, or celebrations, any one of those months? December, August, or January. So this would be somebody you care about, somebody close to you for a happy occasion.
I can't pinpoint anything at the moment.
So that would be like moms, dads, sisters, or anybody in your immediate. Children included.
It's not registering. It's not registering. Then nobody's birthday is coming, so I can't. Nothing's coming.
Okay, then can I ask you if you have a friend or a sister in heaven that is female?
I have a friend who comes to visit me, was like a sister who.
Because this woman is, and she's in heaven, correct?
For sure.
Okay. The reason I ask is because this woman that is standing next to you represents herself as a peer, but she also gives me this feeling of immense love for you, which I would normally feel from a mom to a child. She also says that she matches herself to you. I can't breathe at all when I connect to her. My stomach is really bothering me. What happened? How did she pass? Because these two parts of my body feel really impacted with her.
She had cancer, the one I'm thinking of, but my relationship with my maternal grandmother was potent. My mother, no. My grandmother, yes. So I'm not sure which of them. I'm feeling
it's actually your friend. The reason it is because when I asked Spirit if it was mom or grandmom, you could not identify the information that this lady gave me, which was August, December, or January, which means that my assumption of it being your mom or your grandmom is wrong. So I have to go back to the original, how I said she was standing next to you. But she loves you so much, it feels like a mother's love. Like, she really loves you. Like, you're like, that's like sister, best friend person. So when she comes in like that, she does represent herself as a peer, which means that you did something together, struggled together, assisted each other, like you were in it together. Now, if it was your mom or your grandmom, August, January, or December would have rang true to you, and it would have come to you really fast, because their job is to give me information that you can validate. So when I connect with her, recognizing that she's your friend, then all of a sudden I can't breathe really well. My stomach feels very nauseous, and that's connected to heart, stomach. You could have those symptoms from chemo or from radiation or just from having the cancer. I don't know if that was localized in a particular part of her body, but those are the two parts of my body that I am struggling with in connection to her.
She took chemo. She had chemo.
She is one of the people that walks with you on this journey. And she puts her arms out to you and she says, thank you very much. And October and May is something that she's referencing. So can I ask you about October or May?
May was her birth month, and she had like a Libra vibration. So
perfect. Yeah. That will match exactly kind of like how she's. So see kind of how it works. When I thought that I'm talking to your mom or your grandma, they give me wrong information, so I know I'm wrong. Because they are connected to you. They know you. They know what to say that you're going to say yes or no to. And this is how mediumship should work. We give way too much credit to the medium, and I shouldn't be bashing my own job, but we really do. It should match. So if I think it's your grandmother, of course I'm going to get wrong information because it's not your grandma. But if it's your friend, then yes, she would be a peer. Yes, she loves you so much. Yes, she visits you from heaven. It would make sense that she's walking this journey with you. And then I can't breathe, and then my stomach hurts, and then I feel like I have chemo. That's also true. And then she says October or May. That should ring true to you. You should have an answer for that right away, and you did. Which means that this is the person that I'm talking to. When she does that, she accompanies you in prayer. And she has what looks like a rosary, but I don't know if it's a rosary because it's really just like what would look like wood beads, but the thing that she's referencing on it is the crucifix or the cross. So was she Christian?
No, but she would have had like, the mala beads.
That's it then. Okay, so she's referencing that her mala beads are a representation of my rosary because it looks like my rosary, but it's wood and it's beads and there's no separation in them. And then after she shows me that, she shows me the crucifix. So I go toward Christianity, but I'm Christianity. She's more on that end, which would be, that makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you. I'm discerning as we go. She is part of that prayerful journey with you. She's part of that whole, like the thing you're doing, the getting connected to your soul, the healing of other people, the people, how you're like a beacon for them. They just drop their stuff in your lap. That's all. She walks that with you. Like she's in it with you. And do you smell her? Like, do you, she's showing me beautiful flowers, flower garden, pots of flowers, and then I smell the aroma of flowers. Are you very into flowers, or is she?
Let me say this. Today, I began to work with some things pertaining to flowers, pertaining to making tinctures, pertaining to making fragrances. And she was with me today, and I was laughing because she took the Rosemary Gadsdyer program, and I pulled some stuff off the internet, and I was doing it, and I was saying, yeah, you had to take the course, and now I got it. Quick, bing, 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 bing. So, yes, and she had a beautiful garden, and I grow flowers.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah, because I tried to ask her, I'm like, can you just tell me if I'm understanding you right? Like, give me something that she's going to, like, really respond to. And she gave me this whole, like, I feel like I'm in the Garden of Eden. Like, it's beautiful. And then I can smell it. And then I know fragrance is, like, I have this huge sense of aroma. So that's a good confirmation. And that's just her way of letting us know, well, confirming for you, because you already knew she was with you today when you were preparing all of that. But this way, it's a good confirmation for you to know that you were right on as far as her connection and communication and the way that you discern her information. Like, she's already talking to you. So she's very much just trying to let us know that we're on the right track with her. I love her, by the way. She has the most beautiful light in her heart chakra. It's like white and pink. Like, I feel like she just, maybe that's why I felt like she was just so nurturing. Does she just love everybody? Like, sincerely, like, love everybody?
She had that kind of a spirit, and she did have maternal instinct, strong maternal instinct. When I am talking to her and she shows me, she references, I don't usually like, and the people in heaven are really nice too, they don't usually let me leave a session without tying up information that wasn't confirmed. And so as I'm getting ready to because I know we're running into time, that I start to tell her that, and she takes this beautiful, like, pink light, and it comes from her heart chakra, and it's pushed out by white light. Now, green light, when I see green in somebody's heart, it's a reference of conditional love. Like, I love you as long as you're not a complete jerk to me. Like, I'll love you. But there's unconditional love, and unconditional love looks pink to me. So when I see that unconditional love come out of somebody, and it's forced by this beautiful white light, which is God light, that means that her mission on earth was to love everybody, and she did it well. I hope everybody loves her back, because I can see that. She was loved, and I wasn't able to be at her transition, but she planned her transition, and they told me how beautiful it was, and the flowers that triggered me today. I had gotten these 2 hyacinths, and the aroma is so beautiful, and one is white and one is pink.
See, they do stuff like that blows my mind. Like that's the most beautiful thing. I love when they do stuff like that, because I'm just kind of relaying what they do, but when they do stuff like that, that's like the colors that she chose, the way that she chose it, and then you already got it. Like, see, we think that we know they're amazing. Like, thank you to your friend. I love her. That's so sweet. I love you.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Thank you. And it was my pleasure to be in this energy with you and to help to validate your gifts. Namaste. Peaceful greetings. I stay in a state of grace.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Opulence.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just to let you know, we've actually gone a few minutes over the top of the hour, but it's okay. It's a pre-tape right behind you. So take some time, Nikki, and do some shameless self-promotion and anything you want to say in the wrap-up.
Okay, folks. It's been a pleasure to connect with everybody today. My website is almapura.com. That is A-L, like Larry, M, like Mary, A, P-U-R-A.com. And if you check that out, you can link to a couple of the centers I work at in Illinois. One is Natural Healing Centers in Tinley Park. I do a lot of things there, workshops, discussion groups. We'd love to see you. Check out my website. I have a lot of different services that I offer, and it's just my way of sharing oneness with you, and I hope we can do that. So feel free to text me, call me, Facebook me, anything. I welcome.
Beautiful. And, of course, Nikki's all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. Thanks for today. Today was an awesome show. I look forward to next time already.
Thank you. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye for now. And we're back with more right after this.
Hear all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Get ready. It's time for News for the Soul. Life-changing talk radio from the uplifting to the unexplained. All found at newsforthesoul.com. And now, here's your host and the founder of News for the Soul, Nicole Whitney.
And then I know fragrance is like, I have this huge sense of aroma. So that's a good confirmation. And that's just her way of letting us know, well, confirming for you, because you already knew she was with you today when you were preparing all of that. But this way, it's a good confirmation for you to know that you were right on as far as her connection and communication and the way that you discern her information. Like, she's already talking to you. So she's very much just trying to let us know that we're on the right track with her. I love her, by the way. She has the most beautiful light in her heart chakra. It's like white and pink. Like, I feel like she just, maybe that's why I felt like she was just so nurturing. Does she just love everybody? Like, sincerely, like, love everybody?
She had that kind of a spirit, and she did have maternal instinct, strong maternal instinct.
Because when I am talking to her and she shows me, she references, I don't usually like, and the people in heaven are really nice too, they don't usually let me leave a session without tying up information that wasn't confirmed. And so as I'm getting ready to because I know we're running into time, that I start to tell her that, and she takes this beautiful, like, pink light, and it comes from her heart chakra, and it's pushed out by white light. Now, green light, when I see green in somebody's heart, it's a reference of conditional love. Like, I love you as long as you're not a complete jerk to me. Like, I'll love you. But there's unconditional love, and unconditional love looks pink to me. So when I see that unconditional love come out of somebody, and it's forced by this beautiful white light, which is God light, that means that her mission on earth was to love everybody, and she did it well. I hope everybody loves her back. Because I can see that. She
was loved, and I wasn't able to be at her transition, but she planned her transition, and they told me how beautiful it was, and the flowers that triggered me today. I had gotten these 2 hyacinths, and the aroma is so beautiful, and one is white and one is pink.
Ah, see, they do stuff like that blows my mind. Like that's the most beautiful thing. I love when they do stuff like that because I don't, I'm just kind of relaying what they do. But when they do stuff like that, that's like the colors that she chose, the way that she chose it, and then you already got it. Like, see, we think that we know. They're amazing. Like, thank you to your friend. I love her. That's so sweet. I love you.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Thank you. And it was my pleasure to be in this energy with you and to help to validate your gifts. Namaste. Peaceful greetings. I stay in a state of grace.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Opulence.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just to let you know, we've actually gone a few minutes over the top of the hour, but it's okay. It's a pre-tape right behind you. So take some time, Nikki, and do some shameless self-promotion and anything you want to say in the wrap-up.
Okay, folks. It's been a pleasure to connect with everybody today. My website is almapura.com. That is A-L, like Larry, M, like Mary, A, Pura.com. And if you check that out, you can link to a couple of the centers I work at in Illinois. One is Natural Healing Centers in Tinley Park. I do a lot of things there, workshops, discussion groups. We'd love to see you. Check out my website. I have a lot of different services that I offer, and it's just my way of sharing oneness with you, and I hope we can do that. So feel free to text me, call me, Facebook me, anything. I welcome.
Beautiful. And, of course, Nikki's all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. Thanks for today. Today was an awesome show. I look forward to next time already.
Thank you. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye for now. And we're back with more right after this.
Hear all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Get ready. It's time for News for the Soul. Life-changing talk radio from the uplifting to the unexplained. All found at newsforthesoul.com. And now, here's your host and the founder of News for the Soul, Nicole